Welcome to Adventures in Coffee, a podcast by Caffeine Magazine, sponsored by Oatly.
Now, in this second series, Scott and I are exploring the world of coffee for people who are quite curious about what's in their daily cup.
Yeah, we're all becoming much more interested about where our food and drink comes from. So, Jools and I and James made this podcast to demystify what is quite often a quite complicated world of coffee. And I hope we're going to have a few laughs along the way, Jools.
And this episode is something a little different because we are going to be taking you on adventures in your kitchen. Now, this is the first of a 6-episode mini-series that we're going to be bringing to you, which isn't going to be taking you around the world this time, but instead taking you for an adventure in your kitchen and arming you with tips, tricks and hacks on how to brew better coffee at home.
I must admit, Jules, there are some places in the back of my cupboard which I've not been for years, so it would definitely be an adventure if I opened those doors. Now, I'm Scott Bentley. I am the founder of Caffeine Magazine and all-round coffee dork.
Such a good word. And I'm Jools Walker, a very proud East Londoner and a woman that you will find riding a bike or with a cup of coffee in her hand.
Not at the same time. Now, on today's episode, we're going to answer the question, should you embark on a home espresso journey?
Oh, yes. This is quite something that's been on my mind, Scott, because you know what? I want to jump on that home espresso train.
Jules, we've been doing this podcast for a year. Why do you want to get on the espresso train now?
I want to have more fun with the way how I make coffee at home. I want to try different things and maybe try and recreate that sort of barista coffee shop experience in my own kitchen as well. So where else to do it but here?
I think actually it's that you want to make gingerbread lattes and you just don't want the shame of asking for it in a coffee shop. Now, we should just define off the bat here, we are not talking about pods, we're not talking about Nespresso, and we're not talking about mocha pot, because I think sometimes that's also referred to as espresso-like. We are talking about a little machine which is going to pump out 9 bars of pressure and give you that God shot, espresso shot.
Hold up. God shot. You need to tell me what this is.
Oh, well, I mean, the God shot is a term that's come from yesteryear, but it's essentially when you just get that beautiful shot of espresso that just tumbles out of those spouts and it's thick and just looks so resinous and just, it's a beautiful thing to see. It's like, God came down and said, you will be a good shot. A big finger came out of the clouds and said, you will be great today. And it makes your day when you get that really perfect espresso.
I've just got to say this is why I love your coffee dorkness, because the passion of this is wonderful. But I don't actually know what the God shot tastes like. I'm just imagining from what you've told me. So what is it that is going to hit me if and when I am able to create the God shot at home?
It's balanced, it's sweet, it's thick, it's everything you really, really want from it. But, everyone's God shot is probably a little different. Mm-hmm. Finding your God shot is essentially what this journey is. And hitting that time and time again, that consistency is also what we're really, really after here.
Okay, Scott. So is it as straightforward as me just finding an espresso machine, plugging it in and just running with it?
I mean, that would be great, wouldn't it? I mean,
it's the dream.
That would be the dream. Unfortunately, if you're expecting that, you're probably in for a little bit of a disappointment. But, the wider question is it a good idea to go on this journey? And I think, yes, I think this is great fun. And if you're into coffee and you want an adventure in your kitchen, you should absolutely think about this seriously. But what you will need to understand are a number of things. How long is this going to take? What is this journey's timeline in a lot of ways? What's it going to cost? And yes, that's a financial cost, but also maybe a sustainability cost. What's it going to cost in the wider picture maybe? And this is what I think we will discuss in full in this episode.
But before we get there, Scott, here's a quick word from our sponsor.
And this is a sustainability hack brought to you by Oatly.
Scott, we know that you are the king of caffeine.
The prince of the pour over.
Tell me about your routine.
I drink it, my wife drinks it, then I drink some more. And then my friends come over, and then they all want coffee from me because they know it's better than any of the coffee they can get anywhere else.
Okay, so I'm visualizing mountains of ground coffee just all over your kitchen.
All right, I mean, I'm not that dirty, but yeah, it sometimes takes me a couple of days to clean up.
Okay, so our friends at Oatly have given us some great sustainability hacks in regards to what you can do with your coffee grounds. Now, tell me, do you throw them away?
I do, but they get thrown in my compost bin.
Okay, gold star for Scott. There is an estimated 250,000 tonnes of coffee grounds go to waste every year in the UK.
That's tragic.
It's really tragic, and what's even more tragic is they end up in landfill.
Yeah.
Where they go to landfill, they end up emitting methane, which is a greenhouse gas, and that's 25 times more damaging than CO2. But there are other things that you can do with it other than just putting it in your compost heap. How about a lovely, natural face scrub with your coffee grounds?
Okay.
But it doesn't stop there. Do you grow things in your back garden?
Yeah, I've got loads of weeds. Do you want some?
I don't want any weeds. No, thank you. But what about outside and inside, if you have like pot plants? Fertilizer.
Do you just literally sprinkle it on?
You just put them in. And this is the interesting thing. I have done this with my hydrangeas in the back garden.
Right.
You put them in the soil, they change the colour of the flower.
I'm sticking it in my hydrangeas.
Pop it in your plants, pop it on your skin. Don't pop your skin anymore. And that was a sustainability hack brought to you by Oatly. So the three things that we're going to be looking at, Scott, is how much it's actually going to cost.
Yep.
How much time it's going to take in regards to learning it and just getting on with making it in the kitchen.
Yep.
And the sustainability element of it as well, which is something that had crossed my mind because obviously this is going to be another appliance running in my kitchen.
Let's take one of these parameters first. What's it going to cost? Have you got £1,000 to throw at this?
Scott, I wish I had £1,000 to throw at anything at the moment, to be honest. I probably could find £1,000, but that's a hell of a lot of money for me to drop on an espresso machine. And I'm sat here thinking to myself, do I really need to spend that much money on something to pop in my kitchen to make some coffee? To be honest, Scott, I think I've got about £250 that I could afford to throw at this without breaking the bank.
Oh, Jools, I think for £250, that's going to be a bit of a challenge because I think we're not just talking here about an espresso machine. We're talking about a setup. And that setup has to include things like your tamper and your grinder and, your milk jug.
Let me just stop you right there. I can knock out one of the costs already, which is great because I've got a grinder.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I've got my Wilfer grinder that I use to do like my filter and stuff.
Is it a filter grinder or is it an espresso grinder?
It's a grinder. It grinds my beans.
And how fine does it grind your beans?
I don't know.
I think what you probably have is a very good filter grinder. But unfortunately, to get good, consistent espresso, you need a grinder that can go very, very fine.
Oh, all right.
Let's go back to the price that we're discussing here. Is it possible to get a whole setup for 250 quid? It's super tight. It means you will probably have to get, many of your things secondhand. But also, you have to be thinking about this isn't going to be the easiest way to get good espresso. Can you do it cheaply? Yes. But is cheaply also going to be easy? Probably not.
I'm going to sound like a toddler now, but why? How? What? It's just like, it's still spending more money, Scott. Like, what am I getting? What's the bang for my buck with this?
So if you've got 250 quid, you can get yourself a nice little second-hand machine. I think my first one was a Gadget Classic that I bought on Gumtree, actually.
Oh, okay.
Now, just one of the quirks about this is that it has a single boiler. And this single boiler is used to do both the brew water, so what you brew your coffee through, and also is used to create steam. And the steam, obviously, is what you're going to need to create your nice frothy milk drinks. But the problem with this little boiler is that it only puts like energy into the boiler to kind of make the water hot when it drops below a certain temperature. And that is like a wave because, like the water will start going cooler and cooler and then it will hit that base. And then the machine will say, oh, okay, more energy in. Let's make the water hotter and hotter and hotter until we get to the temperature that we want. And then it will start to drop off again. So you get this wave.
Okay.
Now you want to start brewing your coffee as it's at the optimum temperature.
Right.
Because otherwise your coffee tastes a bit off. So you want to get it at a very specific temperature. This is called temperature surfing. Now, if you spent more money on a machine, the machine would kind of keep that water much more consistent and you wouldn't have to do this little thing. And this is just one part. There are many different little quirks that you have to do. When something is cheaper, you have to do it more manually. When you spend more money, it gets done for you automatically.
Okay, this is becoming clearer as it becomes more complicated.
Oh, yeah.
That makes sense.
Welcome to complication.
So the thing is, not to make it sound like that I'm lazy. Yeah, I'm now realizing that maybe Jools needs to dust the moths out of her purse a little bit more and dig a bit deeper.
It's all about a trade-off.
So the more money that I end up spending, the more time I'm going to end up saving.
But it's also, this is the journey and this is the fun bit. Do you want to get into the weeds on this? Go onto, I don't know, coffee forums and kind of work out how these things happen? Or have you got enough hobbies in your life and actually you just want a damn good cup of coffee? Because the difference is going to cost you.
Because I know you must be on those coffee forums for sure. You're probably like, Coffee King 19 something.
Don't tell
I don't know
everyone my
what
handle.
your username. Your avatar is just like a percolating pot. So what's the next level up when it comes to spends on a coffee machine?
Well, I think the next sort of level up is around £700. And for this, you're looking for a brand new consumer machine. And some of these machines actually have an integrated grinder. So you're saving on that as well.
All right then, Scott, we have established machine talk, which has been very interesting.
Machine talk.
Machine talk, talking about the machines, how we're going to make it. Now, I do want to talk about the cost and cost savings when it comes to me having this very lovely machine at home that I'm going to be doing the thing with.
Let's do it this way then. So how much would a flat white be if you bought it out?
£3 something, like £3.50, £3.70, something like that.
Actually, to make a coffee in your own home, a flat white in your own home, including the beans and the milk and the electricity, I'm going to ballpark it at around £1.
£1?
£1.
Just £1? Well, that's much cheaper than getting it from a coffee shop, which is...
It is. And so you're going to be saving around £2.50 per coffee that you don't drink out of doors. If you were to have an espresso set up in your own home, how many times a week do you think that you wouldn't go out to the coffee shop and you would stay home and replace those coffees from a cafe?
Maybe take 3 days a week out, and I would do that at home. So I would have, I guess, six coffees at home instead of going out and having them. So, yeah.
So if each of those 6 coffees is £3.50, then essentially that's £21 that you are spending in a cafe.
Oh, when you say it out loud, I realise how much I spend on coffee.
and that's per week as well, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
We've said that a coffee would cost about £1 to have at home. So you will be saving £15 per week by doing it at home.
I like these maths. This is very pleasing.
Now, on those 6 coffees that you're saving money on, you're saving yourself £780 per year.
Oh, I can already visualise what I could be spending that money on.
Well, you've got to buy the machine first.
No, this is the thing. It's leaning more and more towards dipping in and getting that good espresso machine and saving that good money as a result.
But think about this as well. How many does Ian drink? If he even drank the same as you, that would still be a saving of another £780 on top of that. But he doesn't. He drinks even more than that.
I know.
I mean, I reckon you guys are going to be saving, £1,500 a year by doing it at home.
that's a laptop, that's new bike equipment, that's the holiday that we've not been. Exactly, that's just a set of wheels. It's just, you know what? It's hearing it out loud. This is an investment that is going to pay itself back quite richly
and quickly. You were talking, do you know what? I've only got 250 quid to spend on this. Yeah, you could still make great coffee, but it probably is going to just be a bit hard work. Why don't you spend £700? We've already done the maths. You're going to save it in the first year. It will be much easier to use, and you'll want to make it it'll be much quicker to make these coffees. And you know what? And this is also the other thing. You'll drink more coffee. Well, at the end of the day, it's your decision to make. If I had a case, I would put it here, just on the table.
You rested it.
And I'll rest it there. Right, Jools, in the words of Columbo, one more thing. How long is it going to take you to get to, world barista champion level and smash out those god shots day in, day out, time and time again?
The Empress of Espresso is here.
Oh!
All right then, Scott. Tell me, how long is it going to take me?
So, Jools, in the bad old days, we used to have these clunky old grinders and these sort of like clunky old machines, and nothing was very consistent, and they're all over the place. That technology has got so much better now. Now, me from the dorky point of view, I mean, you know me, I'm such a nerd with these things. I weigh stuff out. I weigh out my beans and I grind that many beans. I know that that's the right amount of coffee in there. And these machines are great. They don't alter, they don't go all over the place. Hopefully, once you've got things locked in, you shouldn't be wasting too much coffee. And there will be small variations. But there are some amazing online tutorials. There are some great people out there that you can watch YouTube videos of, and they will teach you step by step what you need to do. If your coffee shop runs too quickly, then do this. If your coffee tastes like that, then do this. But once you've got it locked in, you're kind of there.
Because the one thing I don't want to do, which I am guilty of doing in the kitchen, and Ian will tell you this as well, is I guesstimate quite a lot. I can't guesstimate like my mum does. Like, she doesn't have set recipes, but she sort of guesstimates when she's doing stuff and it always works. I don't want to do that with the coffee.
Let me stop you there, because you've made a great point, and that is many people think that coffee is much like cooking. I would suggest coffee is more akin to baking. Baking, if you get the ingredients and the ratios wrong,
you
buggered it all up. Yeah. And you got to start again. So if you're a little bit more pernickety and dork-like, you will get consistent results.
I can get on board with the science of making coffee.
I have got my coffee grinder and it's set on number 9. Now, everyone's grinder's different.
Yeah.
I know that when I put my scales down, I put 17.2 grams in. I know, put 17.2 grams in there.
You can sense my face, can't you, with this?
I know it's always that number. I know that number never changes. And I know the grinder never changes. And, 90 to 95% of the time, I get a pretty damn good shot of coffee.
The thrill, I guess, of doing something like that at home, once Auntie Julie has got it right, would be quite satisfying. So, yeah.
Now, Jools.
Yes, Uncle Scott.
You love a milky coffee, don't you?
I do. I love a latte. I do.
And what you probably also love when you go to a coffee shop is a little bit of latte art, isn't it?
It's really pretty. I know it
is.
It's really pretty. You'll get the swan, or you get the love heart, or you get the thing that looks like the leaves. And
you're not going to do that overnight, though. So I think, generally speaking, the espresso thing is it's quite easy to lock down.
Yeah.
The latte art thing is the thing that will take you much more time. But the good thing is that that's not going to affect too much the taste. So you'll still have a great coffee. It'll still taste wonderful. But there'll be something inside you that says, if only I could make that a bit better. And you can nerd out on that.
Yeah, I like the idea of practicing the latte art, getting on with that. But I am going to make excuses and just say the first one that I do, if it looks like a splodge, as a author, it's actually representative of an ink splat in the middle of my coffee that talks about the depths that I go to with my writing.
Psychology through latte art.
Caffeine therapy. So, Scott, the second thing that we needed to talk about as well was the sustainability element of having an espresso machine.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a few things that we should probably kind of touch upon as well. If you're to go and buy yourself a pre-loved machine, something secondhand, that's probably a good thing. You are taking something which is no longer wanted, that would have either gone to landfill or maybe just sat in the back of a cupboard, and you're reusing it.
I mean, maybe we'll have a look on like eBay or Gumtree or something now.
Yeah, sure. Let's do that. Let's jump on eBay. There's usually a lot there.
All right. I'm going to do my search. I'm going to see what I come up with. Oh, okay. Retro Jools is purring at something she's just seen on eBay. This is very, very pleasing.
Oh, what have you got?
So it's a Costa Marissa Espresso commercial coffee machine. And it's gorgeous. It's kind of got this 60s vibe to it where there's lots of curves and interesting looking red and white buttons on it. It's like lovely and chrome. It looks like it will definitely do the job. And get this, it's only £480.
Well, not so fast, Jules. And I'm sorry, I might need to pop your bubble on this one as well.
But why?
Here's the thing. Firstly, this is a commercial machine, so this is probably going to be working on commercial three-phase power. Do you have three-phase power in your home?
No. I know what a three-phase meter is from a previous life when I used to work somewhere that had a three-phase meter. I definitely do not have that in my downstairs cupboard, so no.
Well, Jules, there are some machines that don't need that kind of power. So let's look at another thing.
Okay.
How much room have you got on your worktop? I mean, I'm looking at this thing here. That looks like about 2 feet or like just over half a meter wide. Have you got that space on your counter?
No, I live with a chef. The amount of equipment that we have in the kitchen, this is already turning into a no-no for me, which is a shame because in the picture, as silly as this might sound, it doesn't look that big. It actually looks like it would fit on my counter. So that's a no for me.
Now, Jules, the final and possibly the most important thing. Just sort of rewinding a little bit. Do you remember the episode we did with Tim Ridley in the last season, which was all about, energy usage in coffee?
Of course. I really only need to boil as much water as I need, as Tim advised, when it comes to making your cup of coffee. So, most of the carbon footprint that we leave with making coffee comes from the act of boiling up the water.
And I think this is the most important thing we really need to discuss here. This machine is designed to probably knock out around 1,000 espressos a day. It's a fully commercial machine.
Oh, okay.
And so the size of the water tanks, the boilers that need to do that level of work consistently, time after shot after shot, you're going to be boiling up something in the region of 10 litres of water. This thing's going to take half an hour, 40 minutes to warm up in the morning. That's a lot of energy you're using for essentially a 30 milliliter espresso that you might want to brew.
As much as Marissa is a beautiful, beautiful specimen, I don't think Marissa's going to come and live in my kitchen.
No, I think she's going to stay on eBay a little bit longer.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame. Okay, so we've still got to answer the question, Scott, and I'm still going to need to know this because whatever happens, I'm still going to end up with a machine that is going to boil water in order to make coffee, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
What's the most efficient way for me to still get my good espresso, but also not leave behind a massive carbon footprint at the same time?
We need to think about a slightly different technology.
Okay.
So it's a technology often called Thermoblock or Thermocoil.
Okay.
Don't worry about this too much. The Thermoblock, Thermocoil, they all kind of mean the same thing. It's all kind of the same technology. And what this does is it sucks cold water out of a tank and heats the water that's going through towards, your brew head. And it heats it on its journey there. And it only heats the water that you essentially need.
Okay.
What you find now is on the newer machines, we're seeing this technology more and more. And it has problems, It's not always as stable, especially if you want to pull lots of water through. It doesn't always give, always the best consistency in terms of temperature. But actually, from an efficiency standpoint, it's excellent.
Okay, so we've got thermoblocks and we've got thermocoils, and I'm now suddenly thinking about how my electric shower works, but this doesn't feel like readily available information to me. Like, I'm just going to walk into a supermarket and I'll just see thermoblock machines or thermocoil machines. Where am I going to find that kind of information from?
Yeah, you're right. This probably isn't the sort of stuff that people shout about because it's really not that sexy. You'll be able to see which ones these are maybe by things like warm-up time. If they suggest that the warm-up time is in the seconds, like 30 seconds warm-up time or like, 2-minute warm-up time, something like very short like that, that's going to be a thermoblock, thermocoil type technology. If when you dig around, you realize these things need a half an hour to warm up, then you kind of know that these are probably going to be boilers. Some machines also call themselves dual boilers or single boilers.
Okay.
And so there again, you'll be able to work out what it actually is. Okay, Jools, so we've talked around this a lot now. So have you come to any conclusions?
I'm kind of turning into a coffee dork like you with this, Scott, thinking that this could be quite fun to go on this journey because it's all part and parcel of getting your perfect espresso at the end of the day in your kitchen.
So, Jools, we can inaugurate you into the Dork Coffee Club if you like.
Yay.
If you want to come and play with us.
I'd like that. Do I get like a membership card and stuff as well?
You get a little badge like you're a prefect.
Oh, I love that. And I'm not going to lie, I probably am going to show off to my friends about the fact that I've embarked on this journey, and when the time is right, I will invite them over and fill them with coffee that has been made by my fair hand, I'd like to add, with my machinery. And I might even like open a little hatch through my kitchen window and start selling it.
Sounds great.
Wait for it, Scott.
Yeah.
Jools is Java.
Jools is Java. Yes. I like that. Hashtag Jools is Java.
Oh,
Jools, man. I think on that, it's time to wrap this up.
Do you not want to hear my business plan for Jools is Java?
Honestly?
It's fine. Just roll the credits. It's okay. It's okay.
This podcast was produced by James Harper, the creator of the coffee podcast Filter Stories.
And he also wrote and plays the piano music you hear tinkling in the background.
Oh, he's very talented, isn't he?
Very, very.
If you like this show, subscribe to us on your podcast app. You can also help others find the show by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts.
And of course, you can always follow all of us on social media. So you can find Caffeine Magazine on Instagram. That's Mr. Scott, so at Caffeine Mag. Myself, Jools, at Lady Velo. And of course, James Harper at Filter Stories Podcast.
And tell us on social media, what does your espresso machine setup look like? And what would you recommend? What would you think Jools should buy?
I'm looking forward to hearing and seeing these recommendations. But this little joyous journey that we've been on leads us very nicely into the next thing we're going to be talking about in 4 weeks' time, which is milk and latte art.
However, in 2 weeks' time, we'll be returning to our regular programming style, Adventures in Coffee. And I'm going to prove to the world, including my very own father, that coffee does not taste like coffee. I'm going to open your mind to the galaxy of coffee flavours. I'll be your captain, you are the flavour naughts. All aboard, and let's leave this world of bitterness behind.
Right, I feel like I need to say "I, Captain" at the end of that, but apparently we've got parents on podcasts and Scott in a spacesuit. So please, dear listener, do not miss this. We are looking forward to joining you on this adventure next time. So thank you again for listening, and we will see you soon.
Aye, aye, shipmates.